Since 1992, Pakistan cricket fans have been waiting for the day when they could finally celebrate a win over India in an ICC World Cup. 13 has proved to be their lucky number. Babar Azam's team have finally ended the jinx and they have a first ever win over India to start their campaign in the T20 World Cup. The rivalry has been pretty one-sided till now, and in that same vein, this turned out to be a pretty one-sided game as well. Welcome to this special coverage with me, Digvijay Singh Deo. Now, how often would you hear the words calm and composed about a Pakistan run chase in a high-pressure ICC tournament? But that's Pakistan. They can rip up the form books and surprise us. Two-time World Cup winning coach John Buchanan joins me now from Brisbane to help us dive deep into that game. John, pretty emphatic at the end. We were talking a few hours ago about how India had sort of all their bases covered. We didn't see this one coming at all.
Well, he certainly didn't, Diggy. As we said, India came into the game well prepared, plus the record they had, and really it seemed all the cards were in India's favour. But, I think when we started talking pre-game, we did talk about the matchups and we did talk about the power plays, that was crucial for both sides. And of course, looking back at the game now, that's how it proved to be, with Shaheen Afridi taking wickets and also Hassan Ali to have India, 3 for 31 at the end of the 6 overs at the end of the power play. So that really put India on the back foot. Okay,
let's just confirm that result before we get back to deep diving with John. Pakistan have handed India a worst ever defeat in an ICC T20 World Cup. It is also Pakistan's first ever 10-wicket win in T20I cricket. Pakistan won the toss. They decided to bowl, with dew being a major factor in that call from Babar Azam. Shaheen Afridi rocked the Indian top order, with Rohit Sharma falling for a golden duck and KL Rahul bowled for 3. Surya Kumar Yadav too didn't last long to leave India at 31 for 3. Skipper Virat Kohli rebuilt the innings in a 53-run stand with Rishabh Pant, who fell after a chancy 39. Kohli would go on and complete a 29th 50 in the format, but he fell in Afridi's second spell for 57. The expected assault at the death never arrived, as India posted 151 for 7. India needed quick wickets, but it never came. Captain Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan are Pakistan's strongest suit. They settled into an early rhythm. Indian bowlers were never allowed to settle down, and both started to play their shots once the target was under 100. Azam got to his half-century first and then Rizwan, but it was the wicket-keeper who upped the ante and finished it off in style. We're just going to confirm that scorecard for you. As you can see on your screens, India 151 for 7. Virat Kohli getting the runs. Rishabh Pant even had a great one-handed shot for 6. But after that, not too many could chip in. The Pakistan bowlers kept them on a very tight leash, and Shaheen Afridi's 3 for 31 actually included the wickets of Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma as well as KL Rahul. In reply, Pakistan cantering home. Babar Azam scoring runs, so did Mohammad Rizwan, and they got home with 13 balls to spare. Calm and composed, John, I said a short while back, not exactly something we sort of associate with Pakistan, but for them to finally put that jinx behind them and to do so in this emphatic manner, it's really going to have belief surging within that Pakistan team.
Well, yes, it's, as you say, it's slightly different perspective on Pakistan teams we've seen previously. But, one of the things that stood out to me, and it's a broad term, but I just think Pakistan out-energised India. So, when we watched Pakistan bowling, they bowled well and they took wickets. But when you began to watch their fieldsmen were everywhere. They were diving, throwing at the stumps, backing up, and that energy continued into Babar Azam and Rizwan's batting. Their running between wickets was sensational. So in a sense, their, if you like, their arousal levels, their energy levels were just at the right, peak throughout the game, and India just could not match that.
Yes, and also, John, could India have done anything differently? When the Indian bowlers had the ball in their hands, there was just no release. They just could not stifle the Pakistani batsmen, could they? And once the 8th or 9th over came, the ball started to come on much better. And after that, it was just a canter from that point, in fact.
It turned out that way. Obviously, Afridi took his wickets with full ball to Sharma. And then also again to Rahul, one LBW, one bowled, and the ball moved, and he bowls at pace with left arm. So it seemed to me that Bhuvaneshwar, Kumar, and then Shami chose to do the same thing. But after 2 overs, they were none for 18 because they really weren't either with the pace or the same accuracy or potency as Shahid Afridi, and that got Rizwan and Babar Azam underway. Boomer and Chakravarti came on for an over each, which at least stemmed the tide a little bit in those first 6 overs. But once they returned again to Bhuvaneshwar and Shami, again, same sort of thing. Their full lengths were easily hittable. And when they decided to go a little bit back of the length, they weren't really hitting the pitch hard enough. And again, Rizwan and Babar Azam really took full advantage of that. Both batsmen played exceptionally well. I thought Kohli was giving us a masterclass right through the innings, just holding that innings together. At 7 for 151 at the end of that first innings, you weren't still quite sure, was that enough? Was that, under par? Don't really know till the next team bats, but we certainly found out that in that next 17.5 overs, it was well short of the mark.
Yes, well shot. And I think you mentioned Shaheen Shah Afridi. He did the damage. Any bowler in world cricket would want to take the wickets of Rohit Sharma, of KL Rahul and Virat Kohli. And that just set Pakistan up, and they just didn't allow India to take off. And this much wanted Indian sort of batting, once you stop them short, and then you practically have done the job that your captain wants you to do. And even though Hassan Ali went for runs, the rest of the bowlers, 4 overs, 1 for 25, India just could not sort of get the Pakistani bowlers off the square.
No, exactly. And again, we talked in the preview, or at least I did, about I didn't think I thought Pakistan's weakness was certainly in the spin department. But when you look at Shadab, Imab and Hafiz, they bowled 8 overs and took 1 for 44. So exactly the same thing, even when Pakistan had to go to its backup bowlers, to its quicker bowlers, they did an exceptional job. And all in all, the result was just so deserved for Pakistan.
Yes, how do India bounce back from this? Virat Kohli was always saying that this is just a game, and we're going to keep all the noise back. But 10 wickets loss isn't something teams sort of recover well from. There is precedent. Of course, you were part of the Australian team in 2003. India had a similar kind of a loss in the ODI World Cup as well. They bounced back and went all the way through. When you have a lot of expectations riding on you, is it very easy to sort of put this behind you and just move on to the next game, considering you've got at least a week before you play New Zealand?
Look, it's going to hurt. That's for sure. I mean, that's a hammering. There's no two ways of looking at it. There's just a real comprehensive loss and a fantastic win for Pakistan. However, I think when you And again, what we said right at the preview was your first game in a tournament is always a little bit tricky. You're just not quite settled as a team, or you're just not quite sure of a range of things, So it's always nice to get the first game underway and ideally get away with a win. But in this case, India haven't. But I don't think it's something that's going to be of long-term concern for India. I think, yes, they'll reflect on it and reflect on a range of things from can they change their bowling lineup a little bit? Is there batting? Do they have the right people in the right places? But in the end, as we were saying too, I don't think there'll be too many changes to that side. I think it's one of these games that you tend to reflect on relatively quickly and just go back to what you've been doing in the lead up and in individual preparation. And then you just go about preparing for the next game and, really set yourself up to deliver what you were hoping to deliver against Pakistan.
Just what would you change? A lot of talk about this Indian team in the build-up is, have they got their combinations right? You saw how Pakistan got their combinations spot on. They decided we'll go with those two extra batsmen, those veterans in Hafiz and Shoaib Malik. They didn't get to bat, but that was the sort of the thinking. Do you think India have got their combination right? There's still question marks, right? With Hardik Pandya clearly not fit enough to bowl at the moment. Just 5 bowlers, with Dew coming and becoming a factor. What more can they do right now?
Well, again, as I said, it's only one game. It's only one game, and so there's certainly no need for panic stations whatsoever. It's a disappointing result, one totally unexpected. But as I said, as a consequence, I think they've done a lot of good things coming into the tournament, and this should be just a bit of a blip in the radar. So I wouldn't be rushing into making too many changes right at this stage. I'd be, as we said at the outset, the main games are Pakistan and New Zealand, and you're looking to play your best side there. Possibly, as I said, I thought Thakur would be in the side instead of Bhuvaneshwar, and they may look to make a change there. Again, Pandya, he did partly the job that he was expected to do. I think 11 off 9 because he's there as a finisher. I wouldn't be rushing into too many changes right at this point in time.
Okay, we're done with this game. Just quickly looking ahead, because not the end of the world. There's still a lot of matches to play.
Yeah.
India have a week to lick their wounds. New Zealand probably becomes a must-win for them, with Pakistan playing New Zealand next on Tuesday. If Pakistan win, then it's probably going to be a battle for India to get out of the group into the semis. That's the next big thing, isn't it? Somehow get the act together for the New Zealand game next Sunday.
Yes, well, as we said, that's right. I mean, in a sense, you don't want to be playing your best cricket right at this stage of the tournament, and you're really trying to build the momentum going into the semi-finals. But yes, I mean, having lost to Pakistan, as we said, there really should only be the 3 teams to vie for the 2 positions. And so, yes, New Zealand becomes a pretty important game for them. And, of course, New Zealand play this format reasonably well themselves. So that sets itself up for another blockbuster, I think, when they meet in a week's time.
Okay, India versus New Zealand becomes a big must-win. Pakistan have the bragging rights. Pakistan have been on the receiving end for quite a while now in world cricket, especially when they faced India. But this is their moment. Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan taking the team home. 10-wicket win, set up, of course, by Shaheen Shah Afridi's 2-wicket burst right at the beginning. It's pretty late over there in Brisbane. John Buchanan, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us with your perspective, and hopefully we get to pick your brains again as this World Cup goes on. Thank you so much once again. And from us, not the best of goodbyes, but then this is sport. Pakistan winning on the day. Goodbye. Good night.